Alright, everybody, I just want to go through the first phase of this build. Was basically clearing the land where I could get the house built, get a septic in. I did clear some areas on the property for food plots and stuff like that. I'm a big hunter, so if any of you are interested in that, I have another channel. It's called Huntsman 360, where I do all my hunting stuff. So I talk about how I do food plots, all that. But what I want to talk about right now is the tools that I've used up to this point. And as you can see behind me, I have a Bobcat S250, which is about a 70 horsepower machine. I've owned that since 2012. I paid $15,000 for it when I bought it. It had like 2,300 hours on it. I had to put $1,000 in it. I had a tree business at the time, so that's how I justified buying it. But it is an extremely handy piece of equipment. So with all my attachments, I probably have about $22,000. I have a tooth bucket, a smooth bucket, a set of pallet forks, a grapple bucket, and then I have a post hole auger with a couple different size bits. Now, if you don't really have a need for one, all this stuff can be rented. You can rent a skid steer of this size for $225 a day. That's pretty common throughout the country. I believe it might be a little higher, a little lower, depending on where you are at. But for $225, you can rent a machine like this, and a day is 8 hours. To give you an example of like how much I was able to do in a day, digging out the driveway, I have a 500-foot driveway. It probably took me at most 4 hours. To mow all the property, it probably took me about 5 or 6 hours of mowing on the machine. And then picking up all the brush and everything like that probably took me another 6-8 hours. So total, I have probably 20-24 hours at most on this machine. So even if it's 24, that's 3 days. At 225, that's 675 bucks. Plus, and that's with a bucket. If you want to rent like a grapple bucket, most all of the skid steer attachments can be rented for under or around $200 a day. And the nice thing about the attachments is they don't have an hour meter, so you can put as much time on them as you want. So say you own your own machine and you want to get a grapple bucket, you could rent that thing at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and run it for 24 hours straight before you had to have it back. So there are lots of options. Another piece of equipment that I used was a Bobcat, a small Bobcat excavator. It was about, I think it was right around 30-35 horsepower. And I know I talked in a previous video why I rented something so small is because I wanted to stay within my budget. But I rented that for 2 days, and it was $195 a day plus my fuel to get it there and back. I mean, I had less than $500 in it, and I cleared probably 4 acres. If you saw the picture of this property before I did any work on it, and now what it looks like, for very little money, I cleared this property, where if I would have hired somebody in, it would have cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. And up to this point, I suppose, I have less than $1,000 in clearing this property. The only other thing that I've used to help clear this property is a small chainsaw, a little top handle chainsaw. Now I will need a bigger one when I cut the logs and stuff up that I'm keeping. But other than that, I just had a few attachments, skid steer, grapple bucket, and that small excavator, and I'm in under $1,000 of my money. So that's not bad. So even if you don't have these pieces of equipment and you have a piece of land where you want to clear, I would really like you to consider just thinking about doing it yourself. You can save thousands of dollars over hiring somebody in. I mean, minimum you have somebody come in on a machine, it's going to be at minimum probably $150, $160 an hour for a Bobcat, for somebody to run a Bobcat. Excavators are just more and more expensive, so just keep that in mind if this is something you want to do. If you have a piece of property or you're looking to buy a piece of property, you do have the ability to do this. And even if you don't have a trailer or anything to haul it, you can pay them to haul it out at a reasonable cost and pick it up. So This far, I've used very few pieces of equipment, and I've saved thousands of dollars already. So as far as the driveway goes, I dug that out, and then I paid a trucking company to come in and spread the rock. And the nice thing about that is they can set their gate so it only opens so far, and they can just spread that gravel as they unload it, and there's no time in spreading it out. So just keep that in mind. I'll continue to do tool updates, like the tools I use, how I use them, basically what they cost if you buy them or if you can rent them. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll be getting the next phase of this project going. I got my perk test done today, so I should be able to get going on the septic system here pretty soon, within the next week or so, and I'll bring that to you as soon as I get going.